Hey there, welcome to Pop Culture Cupid.
I'm Alison, love coach, here to help you single people find your way back to love.
And I'm Michal, I'm a single life coach. I help singles embrace themselves and their singleness, as well as develop a healthy self-relationship.
In this podcast, we will look at how pop culture impacts romance, dating, and your love life.
And each week we'll shoot another arrow through another pop culture delusion.
I thought we weren't going to do the whole cheesy thing.
And then burst into smithereens.
Oh my god, dude, that's so cringe!
Sorry, it's in the intro now.
If you make it through the chaos and you enjoy what you hear, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and go to all the social media.
At Pop Culture Cupid on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy!
Recording in progress. It's been so long. Hello.
So we're recording today because you said that there was a holiday in Israel this week?
Yeah, I mean it's a Jewish holiday, so it's not just in Israel, but yeah, we have Passover, Pesach. Yeah, not that it says much, but yeah. So it's one of like the main ones, the big ones, and
yeah. So traditionally Jewish countries will observe that holiday.
Yeah, so it's a nice one. We're also going away on Friday, so I mean it's like a whole week. It's like tomorrow evening is like the holiday evening, like Christmas Eve kind of thing, and then the next day is like Christmas Day,
right?
And then we have a whole week of just regular days, but like it's usually vacation, and there's just people. I don't know how to even explain it. And then there's the second day holiday, which it's just doing the same thing again. Just
so
because,
Boxing Day.
Kind of thing. Yeah, it's just we have, I don't know, fun times indeed. Just a good excuse to spend time with family.
Yeah. Or always a good excuse to spend time with family. Okay, so happy Passover.
Thank you very much.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because we decided to record 2 episodes again this week, because that's just the way we roll.
Yeah. Once you're on a roll, once you get the camera going, you may as well just continue.
Yeah, do a couple and things, and I got everybody out of the house this morning so that we could have some time. Yay. So we kind of teased a lot about, well, I don't know about teasing, but we both, when we started this podcast, we were both single.
Were we? We didn't start it that long ago. I think when we started collaborating, we were both single.
Yeah, well, I was finishing a relationship that we can talk about.
That's right. Yeah. You were
finishing.
Like, we started this podcast just a few months ago, didn't we? I feel like it was just a few months, so maybe it's like longer, but
I don't know. Well, we can
look it up, I guess.
Yeah, we can look it up. Well, anyway, and so all this to say that we dating and single life coach in their 30s. We talked about first dates and early relationships and our current relationships, but we didn't really talk about how we became single, like the most recent becoming single events. And
yeah, we had one I think we had one episode about breakups, so we spoke about like,
yes, but what I mean is like our most recent breakup and why what led to our most recent breakup and kind of like thought process and things like that.
I think the last breakup I told about was my most recent breakup, but I can tell about another one.
I definitely didn't talk about my most recent breakup because
you were still in it when we started like collaborating.
Yeah, so yeah, because I think one of the breakup, I've had 3 or 4 real big relationships, and I talked about different types of breakups, but my most recent one I didn't talk about. I think it's because we're kind of not still in the middle of it when we had the episode, but it just didn't feel right. So but let's talk about it now.
Yeah, we
So
should.
so me coming on this journey to become a love coach started I mean in 2020, to be completely unoriginal, you know, thinking about life and things. And so at that time I was an estate agent, and I was just, you know, reflecting on, you know, life and listening to podcasts, and got, you know, I was already kind of into, you know, self-development, but it got super powered at that time, as for many people, I'm sure. And I was like, okay, so what am I good at? And I was talking, you know, thinking about all of these things and there's a point to how I got into this relationship. There's a point to it. What am I good at, and what do I want to do with my life? I want to, you know, do something that's going to help people. And so I've always been very good about talking about relationships and sex and things like that. So it started off with becoming a sex therapist, and then just evolved and mutated into becoming a love coach. And so I trained for it and everything. And I had been single for a while, and was, you know, and still single when I started my training to become a love coach. And during my training, I met this guy that I kind of thought was everything I was looking for in a guy. And I always scared these guys off. He was shy, artistic type of guy, extremely soft spoken, and you know, I'm going to try and not be a horrible bitch about him, because, you know, he hasn't only got flaws, he has got some qualities. But this guy, you know, was always the type of guy I would have crushes on, but because I had a big personality, I would scare these guys away. And so with my training and things like that, I kind of, you know, had the tools to just adapt to him. And so I adapted to him, and we got into a relationship. And so I was very happy about it, because you know, oh my god, this guy is all, you know, everything, you know, everything I always liked about a guy. Did you watch the Fantastic Beasts series?
Mm-hmm. I watched up until they got rid of Johnny Depp, and then I was like, no.
Yeah, so he is a lot like a Newt Scamander, you know, in his kind of attitude, a lot that type of, you know,
awkward kind of,
awkward. And there was a guy in what was, you know, a police show, I can't remember, okay, whatever. Anyway, that type of character of just, you know, awkward but very nice and attractive and things. And, you know, it just was my type of guy that I'd never been on a date with. And so at that point we go on a date and start a relationship, and the relationship is doomed from the beginning, you know, because Newt Scamander is a fictional character. You know, he everything that came with his awkwardness translated into the relationship. He was unclear about what he wanted. He wasn't forthcoming.
Yeah.
He was such a big pushover. He was, you know, so much about it. But because I had done this training and got my qualifications and had started helping people, I got in this thing where, exactly as I was saying in previous episodes, I was just, you know, I didn't want to give up on him, because and I wasn't there for myself of saying, you know, this guy is not for you, and you can probably do everything right in keeping this relationship, but it's not going to be good for you. And that's a huge learning. And it took me, you know, a few months to figure this out and accept the fact that as a love coach, if my relationship was going to end, I wasn't a failure. You know, I would an early love coach and things like that. But he was, you know, at some point I realized he had a problem with alcohol, and you know, he got into a fight because of, you know, being drunk and unreliable. And one day we were together, he was so drunk that he just forgot that I was there and just walked off. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Well, they do say that it's the quiet ones you should look out for the most.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And so I was, you know, just unhappy in our relationship, and I couldn't see a future with him. but I had this thing of, I had managed to convince myself that I didn't need to be ecstatically happy to be with someone, that I wasn't, this wasn't a compromise. This was me lowering my standards and hopes and dreams. But I kind of got into this narrative of, I don't need to invent myself this happy ever after. So this is how I was in a very bad relationship, which led to me becoming pregnant. And so one day I realized I'm late, and I'm like, oh Jesus, and I was just refusing to believe that that this is what that was.
You never think it's gonna happen to you, it's always like a kind of possibility, but what are the odds?
Exactly. And I was, and I had an IUD, which was, for me it was completely impossible and not fun at all. And so so I was late, and I told myself, I've been late before, and and sometimes I'm a week late and it doesn't matter. And so I waited, and then until the one day I was 10 days late, and I thought, okay, I can't, I need to take a test, and it was positive. And at that point I knew that I couldn't have a baby with this man who had a problem with alcohol, who was a pushover, who was unreliable, who was all the negative things. He was he was kind sometimes, but he lacked so much self-esteem and was just so, anyway, and nothing that you want in a partner, that I knew that I couldn't keep the baby. And so I knew, so this was in October of 2022, and I knew what was coming. Like, I knew, like, this was, this had to happen this way, because we can talk, people are this is gonna spark a debate about abortion, pro or against, and things like that, and what do we think, and is it murder, and things like that. But what would, I was in a bad financial state, bad emotional situation, everything, and I couldn't keep it.
It's even crueler to bring a child into an already difficult world, and even more so when you are not in a place where you can provide it all that it needs. I feel like if less people brought more kids into life in such terrible circumstances, there'd be less kids without homes, without love, who end up doing drugs or ending up in bad places and mobs and whatever. And it's just, it's sad, it's hard, and to each their own. But if more people were cautious of the children they brought into the world, then maybe there would be better circumstances for everyone.
I agree. And that was my thought process of, what am I, what do I want from, life and this and everything. And so, and I knew that it wasn't, I just couldn't. And it was, and there is, something about hormones when you're pregnant, and the thought process and the guilt and everything, and it was just so difficult.
It's traumatizing. I mean, I've never been through an abortion, but it's not only putting your body through something so stressful, it's also facing a huge, I don't know if to call it a moral dilemma, but it's like it's like this huge life choice that you have to make now or never, or live with the consequences. And it's a burden. But on the other hand, you can break up with a person and never see them again. But when a child is involved, you'll have to see them, and the child will probably suffer from the strain between you two. And it's just like the whole thing is causing something that can be avoided to begin with.
Yeah, I completely I mean, obviously completely agree with that. And and it is a moral dilemma, because especially as I want children, I want to I have a family and things, and it was a huge moral dilemma. But for